Greek heroes were built to survive the impossible. They killed monsters, crossed the underworld, broke enemy armies, and returned from places where ordinary men simply disappeared. But Greek mythology rarely rewarded strength with a peaceful ending. The greater the hero became, the stranger his death seemed to be. Some were betrayed by family. Some were abandoned by the gods. One was killed by his own ship. Another was defeated by a piece of firewood. They escaped the monsters. They did not escape the ending. Odysseus spent 10 years fighting at Troy, and another 10 trying to reach Ithaca. He blinded the Cyclops, sailed past the Sirens, crossed between Scylla and Charybdis, and survived the anger of Poseidon. Even the underworld gave him information he could use. There, the prophet Theseus warned him that death would come from the sea. Odysseus believed he understood. After everything the sea had already done to him, the prophecy sounded almost obvious. It was not. During his years with the sorceress Circe, Odysseus fathered a son named Telegonus. The boy grew up on the island of Aia without meeting him. When Telegonus became an adult, he sailed out to find his father and eventually reached Ithaca. He did not recognize the island, and Odysseus did not recognize him. A fight began near the shore. Telegonus carried an unusual spear tipped with the venomous spine of a stingray. During the struggle, he struck Odysseus and killed him. Only afterward did he discover the identity of the man lying in front of him. The story comes not from Homer's Odyssey, but from the Telegony, a lost epic preserved only through later summaries. In that tradition, Telegonus carried his father's body back to Circe's island for burial. Death had come from the sea. It simply arrived in the hands of a son. Heracles survived 12 labors designed to kill him. He crushed the Nemean lion, destroyed the many-headed Hydra, captured Cerberus, and temporarily carried the sky. No battlefield opponent could finish him. No monster could hold him. A gift from his wife did what they could not. Years earlier, the centaur Nessus attempted to seize Heracles' wife, Deianira, while carrying her across a river. Heracles shot him with an arrow coated in Hydra venom. As Nessus died, he prepared one final act of revenge. He told Deianira that his blood could be used as a love charm if her husband ever became unfaithful. She believed him. When Heracles later brought home a young woman named Iole, Deianira feared she was losing him. She covered a ceremonial robe with the blood Nessus had given her and sent it to Heracles. She thought the garment would restore his love. The warmth of his body activated the poison. The robe burned into his skin and clung to him. When he tried to tear it away, his flesh came away with the fabric. Heracles could defeat an enemy standing in front of him. He could not fight poison already wrapped around his body. He ordered a funeral pyre built on Mount Oeta. Then he climbed onto it and asked his companions to light the wood. Later traditions say his mortal body burned away while his divine part rose to Olympus. The strongest man in mythology was not killed by force. He was killed by trust. Sealed inside a robe, Bellerophon defeated the Chimera, a creature with the body of a lion, a goat rising from its back, a serpent for a tail, and fire in its throat. Riding the winged horse Pegasus, he attacked from above and killed a monster no warrior on foot could approach. He also defeated the Solymi and fought the Amazons. Each task was meant to remove him. Each victory only enlarged his reputation. Eventually, Bellerophon began to treat that reputation as proof that he belonged among the gods. He mounted Pegasus and tried to fly to Olympus. Zeus answered with an insect. A gadfly stung Pegasus during the ascent. The horse bucked, and Bellerophon fell from the sky. Some traditions say he was crippled. Others say he was also blinded. He survived, which may have been the harsher result. He wandered alone across the Aleian plain, avoided by people and rejected by the gods. The hero who had once attacked a fire-breathing monster from the air spent his final years walking across empty ground. He reached for immortality. The gods left him alive long enough to understand the distance. Hector was not Greek, but no account of heroic death in Greek mythology can leave him outside the walls. He was Troy's finest defender, a prince who fought for his city rather than for personal glory. Even the Iliad gives him a tenderness rarely granted to warriors. Then Patroclus died wearing Achilles' armor, and Hector stripped that armor from his body. Achilles returned to battle looking for him. Hector initially stood outside Troy, but when Achilles approached in armor forged by Hephaestus, he ran. They circled the city 3 times while King Priam, Queen Hecuba, and the people of Troy watched from the walls. Athena ended the chase through deception. She took the appearance of Hector's brother Deiphobus and promised to stand beside him. Hector stopped. He turned and faced Achilles. When he called for his brother, nobody answered. Achilles drove a spear through the exposed area at Hector's throat. As he died, Hector asked that his body be returned to his family. Achilles refused. He tied the corpse behind his chariot and dragged it before the walls of Troy. Hector had spent the war protecting those walls. His family watched his body circle beneath them. Achilles knew that glory and death were tied together. According to the Iliad, his mother Thetis had warned him of two possible lives. He could stay away from Troy, live long, and be forgotten. Or he could fight, become immortal in memory, and die young. He chose the shorter road. The familiar story says Thetis dipped the infant Achilles into the river Styx while holding him by one heel, leaving that small area vulnerable. That detail is not in Homer. It appears clearly in later Roman tradition. The Iliad does establish that Achilles was destined to die at Troy, but it ends before the death occurs. Later accounts name Paris as the archer and Apollo as the divine guide behind the shot. Some place the killing on the battlefield. Other traditions make it an ambush near a temple, possibly during a meeting connected to the Trojan princess Polyxena. Either way, the contrast was deliberate. Achilles was the greatest close combat warrior of the age. Paris fought from a distance. Apollo's involvement made skill almost irrelevant. Achilles chose a death that would make his name permanent. He could choose the legend. He could not choose who delivered it. Ajax the Great was built for direct combat. He was enormous, reliable, and almost impossible to move. When Achilles fell, Ajax carried his body away while Odysseus protected the retreat. Then the Greeks had to decide who would inherit Achilles' divine armor. The final candidates were Ajax and Odysseus. Ajax represented physical courage. Odysseus represented strategy and speech. The armor went to Odysseus. For Ajax, the decision erased years of sacrifice in a single public judgment. In Sophocles' tragedy, Athena drove him into madness. He believed he was attacking the Greek leaders who had humiliated him. Instead, he slaughtered livestock. Mourning restored his mind. He saw the dead animals and understood what had happened. The shame was more than he could carry. Ajax planted a sword in the ground and fell upon it. The weapon had once been a gift from Hector. After their famous duel ended without a victor, the two warriors exchanged gifts as signs of mutual respect. Hector gave Ajax the sword. Ajax gave Hector a belt. Both gifts later became connected to their deaths. Ajax died on the sword. In some readings, the belt was the one used to fasten Hector's body to Achilles' chariot. Their battle ended in honor. Their gifts did not. Agamemnon commanded the Greek coalition at Troy. He brought hundreds of ships across the Aegean, endured 10 years of war, watched heroes die around him, and returned home after Troy finally fell. His wife had spent those 10 years preparing for his arrival. Before the fleet sailed, the winds failed at Aulis. The goddess Artemis demanded the sacrifice of Agamemnon's daughter, Iphigenia. Ancient versions differ over whether the girl was truly killed or secretly rescued by the goddess. In the darkest and most influential version, Agamemnon chose the war and allowed the sacrifice. Clytemnestra remembered. While he was gone, she joined with Aegisthus, who carried his own grievance against the house of Atreus. When Agamemnon returned, Clytemnestra welcomed him like a victorious king. Then she waited until he was defenseless. In Aeschylus, she trapped him in a robe or net while he bathed and struck him repeatedly. Other versions placed the weapon in Aegisthus's hands. Cassandra, the Trojan princess Agamemnon brought home as a captive, was killed as well. Troy's walls had failed to stop him. Cloth and a locked door were enough. Jason's reputation came from the voyage of the Argo and the recovery of the Golden Fleece. But nearly every impossible step depended on Medea. Her magic protected him from fire-breathing bulls. Her advice helped him defeat the warriors born from dragon's teeth. Her betrayal of her own family made his escape possible. Jason received the glory. Medea received abandonment. In Corinth, Jason left her to marry the princess Glauce and improve his political position. Medea destroyed that future. In the most famous version, she sent Glauce a poisoned garment, killed the children she had with Jason, and escaped. Jason was left without a family or a kingdom. In one later tradition, he returned to the Argo, now pulled onto shore and decaying. He sat beneath the old ship, perhaps resting in its shade. A rotten beam broke loose and crushed him. No dragon appeared. No enemy attacked. The ship that carried Jason into legend simply collapsed from neglect. He had built his identity around the Argo. In the end, it was the only thing that stayed with him. Theseus killed the Minotaur and escaped the labyrinth by following Ariadne's thread. He became the great founding hero of Athens. His later life was less controlled. He lost influence, accumulated enemies, and eventually left Athens for the island of Skyros. Its king, Lycomedes, received him as a guest. According to Plutarch, Lycomedes then led Theseus to high ground, supposedly to show him the land. At the cliff's edge, the king pushed him. There was no duel and no warning. The killer may have feared Theseus as a political rival, or he may have acted for other interests. The explanations change. The fall does not. Centuries later, the Athenians claimed to recover Theseus's bones and carried them home with ceremony. The man who escaped a maze was killed in open air. There was nowhere to turn. Meleager's death had been waiting for him since infancy. According to the best-known tradition, the fates appeared shortly after his birth and pointed to a log burning in the family hearth. They declared that the child would live only until the wood was consumed. His mother, Althea, pulled it from the fire and hid it. Meleager grew into a powerful warrior and led the hunt for the Caledonian boar, a monster sent by Artemis. The hunt gathered famous figures from across Greece, including Atalanta. She wounded the boar first. Meleager delivered the final blow and awarded her the hide. His uncles objected to giving the prize to a woman and tried to take it. Meleager killed them. Althea now had to choose between her brothers and her son. She retrieved the half-burned log, placed it on the fire, and watched it catch. Far away, Meleager felt his strength disappear. He had no wound. No enemy stood near him. As the wood turned to ash, his life failed with it. Althea then understood that revenge had not reduced her grief. It had multiplied it. Several traditions end with her taking her own life. Meleager survived the boar, the hunt, and the armed men around him. He could not survive his mother opening a box. Greek mythology did not allow heroes to remain simple. Victory produced pride. Love became leverage. Gifts became weapons. Prophecies told the truth in ways no one understood until understanding no longer helped. These men defeated creatures that violated nature. Yet their own deaths often required no monster at all. A robe, an arrow, a cliff, a rotten beam. A burning log, the heroes became immortal. Their bodies remained inconveniently human.